Start off in Egypt, where clashes between protesters and security forces that resumed on Friday after prayers continued after the early hours of Saturday. The protests were held in Ramses Square, where residents in surrounding areas were kept awake by sounds of gunshots. It was another long night for Egyptians, and as Adel Mahroui reports, the situation remains tense this Saturday.
An unusual movement for army tanks at night during the curfew. Their destination, Ramses Square, the meeting point for the Muslim Brotherhood's Friday rallies. Protesters defied the curfew, and so did residents of this Cairo district.
Today, you see the largest number of people breaking the curfew to protect our homes after the Brotherhood came armed. 12 of our neighbors were killed today alone, so we chased them until they fled.
A glimpse on the aftermath revives the violent scenes of the morning. Cairo city is in tatters, almost broken into pieces. On its way to extinguish the flames raging in downtown's buildings, a fire truck was set on fire, while all remaining protesters took shelter in this mosque.
They are all inside the mosque now. Men, women, kids, even armed people are inside. The army and the police are waiting for them to exit and take them into custody. They don't want to storm in the mosque because it is a house of God and the army troops have manners.
After hours of the siege in the mosque, security forces gave a safe passage to around 300 protesters who were held up inside. This only happened at sunrise. The security forces managed to end the protests, but it seems temporarily. Brotherhood members declared that they will continue with their protest through the next week.
The streets of Cairo speaks for itself. Egypt is breaking down. And unless somebody takes a different stance, it seems it could continue this way. Adel Mahroui, CCTV, Cairo.
Earlier, CCTV's Adel Mahroui was caught up in these skirmishes and he filed this report.
By the time we arrived to Ramses Square, one gathering point for the rallies, the clashes had already started. Protesters were fighting some civilians near a police station. When they saw us filming, they threw glass bottles, rocks, and fireworks.
To push protesters back, as you hear, these are shotguns, machine guns from police forces toward the protesters. There are also some sounds of sort of rockets from the protesters themselves. They're more likely to be fireworks. They shoot it on a very close range, trying to hit the people who are supporting the police forces and their troops. Right now, we're sieged on the main bridge of Cairo. From that side, Muslim Brotherhood and their supporters are marching towards us, and they're coming towards the police station where the main cross-firing is happening as we speak. There are other supporters of the Muslim Brotherhoods who are trying to go above the bridge from the other empty side, but police forces push them with live ammunition as soon as they get on top.
If you die, you will be a martyr, yelled this man, encouraging protesters to move forward. After hesitation, they did. Among them, a dead protester. This man says he was his brother and that thugs killed him during their rally. Another was slightly injured.
They want to kill us because we're calling for freedom. Thugs, police and army troops are killing us instead of protecting us. Moreover, they're putting us under siege.
Suddenly we became among the security forces lines and someone is firing at them. They can't identify where the source of shooting is coming from.
2 police officers were hit by the sniper hiding somewhere in these buildings. Cairo is not the only city that suffered today. Egypt is bleeding.
The road is finally open for the Muslim Brotherhood members to proceed walking and join their other protesters at Ramses Square. And the rallies are just getting started. Adel Mahroui, CCTV, Cairo.
Our hospitals have received thousands of injured over the last few days. It has also become the target of clashes, and in some cases, ambulances were not allowed to reach the injured. For security reasons, cameras and civilians were not allowed into hospitals with the injured. CCTV's Yasser Hakim was at Al-Shurta Hospital in Cairo.
We are now at one of the main hospitals that received the injured or the dead, and it actually also receives the police forces and they're injured from the battles. Like you can see now behind me, they are on a state of alert most of the time because earlier in the day there were attacks by the Muslim Brotherhood on this hospital. They tried to take out some of their injured by force so that they do not get arrested after being healed here at the hospital. The protests called for by the Muslim Brotherhood have been met with condemnation from the civilians in Cairo.
We want everything to calm down. My brother is injured inside. For what? We want peace in the country. This is enough.
I
voted for Mohammed Morsi. We thought he would be the kind of person to solve our problems, but he only worked for his brotherhood and turned against us all. Now they bring violence against Egyptians.
The number of casualties increased by the hour as the clashes between the Brotherhood and Morsi supporters against either civilians in Cairo and the cities or the police forces that have started from early in the morning after the Morsi supporters have called for mass protests on Friday as a show of anger to the ouster of former President Mohammed Morsi and also to the clear-out that took place against their two main sit-ins in Cairo, Rabaa al-Adawiyya and Al-Nahda sit-in.
Yasser Hakim is now live for us in Cairo. Yasser, give us an update of what has been happening since last night. Are people still trapped in Fatah Mosque?
Most of the people inside Fatah Mosque have managed to leave. They were given a safe passage by police forces, whilst a lot of civilians and residents of the area were standing outside. They were told to stay away from the area by police. The Egyptians and civilians in the area are very angry at the Muslim Brotherhood for bringing its rallies and demonstrations at their residential area there. This area is also full of shops and commercial sites there, and those shops were destroyed during the clashes yesterday. So they blame this on the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's why they were cordoning off the mosque and waiting for the Muslim Brotherhood supporters to go out so that they can attack them out of revenge, out of anger. And the police were trying to keep both sides away and get those outside, get the Morsi supporters outside the mosque to a safe area. Many of them have left. A few are still inside, afraid to go out. What's a bit frightening right now is that other Morsi supporters are now planning to go to the Fatah Mosque, and the police are waiting to see if they can manage to let them away from the area so that we do not see clashes between both sides, the Muslim Brotherhood supporters and the civilians and residents of the area. We're waiting to see what will happen in the next few hours.
And Yasser, any confirmation on the number of arrests, and what has been the response from the presidency? Any plans to restore calm?
The latest numbers coming out from the Ministry of Interior is around 1,100 have been arrested. Most of them have been armed militants who are linked to the Muslim Brotherhood or to the militants who operate in Sinai, in northern Sinai right now, and they have managed to infiltrate into main cities like Cairo. Some of them are even non-Egyptians. They found Afghanis, Syrians have been arrested, militants who have said that they had come from Afghanistan and are linked to some of the military groups there, such as Al-Qaeda. And there are investigations ongoing on the whereabouts of more of these militants who have managed to infiltrate into the cities and are connected to the Muslim Brotherhood and its supporters.
All right.
As for the presidency will undergo a press conference in a few hours. We're waiting for a press conference by the president to explain the latest developments here and whether there will be any plans for the future for Egypt.
All right, Yasser, thanks very much for joining us. Yasser Hakim live for us in Cairo. You're watching Africa Live. Let's take a break coming up. Turn around. Zimbabwe's MDC withdraws petition challenging Mugabe's victory. And Mogadishu's new face, residents' joy at Rare Recreation Park.
We follow the latest trends in global politics, economics, culture and sport, and how Africa fits into the global picture. You decide what's important.
We need some trade and justice.
Africa's future will be determined by Africa.
For women's equal opportunity, for a better life.
We have to change something, and it's not the outsiders.
Talk Africa, a new voice for the world.
Right, let's revisit the Marikana tragedy in South Africa 1 year on, and many in Marikana are still struggling to make sense of the killings. Low wages and poor living conditions continue to blight their lives, and violence around the mine continues to claim victims. This report from CCTV's Renee Delcam.
What have we done? What have we done? Ask the women of Marikana as people here and across South Africa reflect on the horror of the 16th of August 2012. People here say the events forever changed their community. The anger and desperation of the striking mine workers, the rivalry between trade unions, management's refusal to negotiate directly with workers, and the police's determination to disarm and disperse the miners, turned the 6-week-long strike into the most violent protest action since the dawn of South Africa's democracy. For the first part of August last year, this little mountain behind me was covered with heavily armed, angry, striking mine workers who claimed they were prepared to die for more money. For days before the so-called Marikana massacre, they were engaged in a tense standoff with police. So tense that journalists, especially female journalists such as myself, were warned not to dare enter their space.
The mood was so tense. It was terrifying because we didn't know what was going to happen next, because already there were some killings that they already took place.
The unthinkable happened on the 16th of August when police shot 34 mine workers. A commission of inquiry is still seeking answers about the massacre. People here also have many questions. They still cannot understand why police had to use live ammunition.
I was running away from the police when I got shot. I was running towards the crow. I was shot as I was trying to get away from the police. And I realized the police were finishing off those they had already shot. I'm still deeply traumatized. Whenever I remember what happened last year, my heart still feels so sore. Even today, I can still smell the blood of my brothers.
The women of Marikana say they wish the dead had lost their jobs instead of their lives.
When people demanded money, people are on strike. We know if the manager or whoever we in charge. If he doesn't want to pay them, he's supposed to chase them away, not kill people.
It was better if they fired them away from the mine, not to kill them. We are all crying every day. It's worse, 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 worse.
Many fear those that died here died in vain.
Nothing has changed. When I'm at the mountain, I think about the man who had died there, and I feel the pain and the loss of my brothers who were fighting for more money.
We were angry. Even now, we are still angry because we get nothing from that 16 up to now. Instead, the people are still dying.
Renat Al-Kam, CCTV, Marikana, in South Africa's Northwest Province.
Zimbabwe's opposition movement for democratic change of outgoing Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai on Friday said it was withdrawing a court challenge of a disputed election result that gave longtime President Robert Mugabe a commanding victory, saying it did not believe it would get a fair hearing. The party said in a document filed at the Constitutional Court that it would not participate in a hearing scheduled on Saturday and asked that the 9 judges of the highest court be advised of the withdrawal. The MDC claims that up to 1 million eligible voters were kept from voting and ballots were cast in the names of dead people. But on Friday, it was still waiting for a court to release crucial documents they say will prove it. Without that evidence, the party says it was impossible to proceed with the case. Now, for more clarity on these developments, we're joined live by Mr. Douglas Monzora, the MDC spokesperson, live from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. Mr. Monzora, thank you for joining us. So your party had, prior to launching the petition, expressed its lack of confidence in Zimbabwe's judiciary, yet chose to proceed with the petition anyways. So wouldn't the move to withdraw this petition now be viewed as either a lack of a coherent strategy for the MDC or proof that the party did not have a strong case against Mugabe's victory in the first place?
We definitely had a very strong case against President Mugabe, but we took this case to court well knowing that we could be facing a biased judiciary. But we did not expect that the judiciary would be so biased. There are 2 important reasons, 3 rather important reasons why we had to withdraw. Firstly, that we were denied crucial evidence that is in the hands of the electoral authorities, evidence which would have proved that some people who are not on the voters' roll did vote. That evidence, we did not expect to be denied that evidence, and up to now we are still expecting that that should be released. Secondly, we did not expect that we will not be given due process. We had lined up witnesses to testify, people who were forced to say that they could not read and write, yet they were teachers, headmasters, nurses, doctors. We wanted these people to testify before the Constitutional Court. We were just told by the Chief Justice that we could not lead evidence from these people. Without leading evidence from crucial witnesses, there is no way that we could succeed in this hearing.
So there are those who argue that the MDC risks crumbling into political oblivion following the results of the election and the political scenario there in Zimbabwe. What is the next move for your party?
Well, firstly, this is not the first time that the MDC has been treated unfairly. We were treated unfairly in 2000, and then in 2002. We were treated very unfairly in 2005, and we went on to win in 2008, only to be stopped by violence. And we have been subjected to this unfairness again. The MDC will rise. A lot of the people of Zimbabwe support the MDC. That is why President Mugabe wins in an unfair manner. So the MDC is going to be stronger than before. We are going to concentrate on restructuring our party to make sure that the people of Zimbabwe get justice. We don't want Zimbabwe to slide into the economic quagmire that it was in. And if there's anything that we can do, we will do it as the MDC.
All right, Mr. Douglas Monzora, MDC spokesperson, live for us in Harare. Thank you for joining us. Now, an uplifting story from Mogadishu. For years, children in the Somali capital grew up to the sounds of fighting. But with the city slowly recovering for some lucky youngsters, there is a special treat. This report from CCTV's Mohamed Hirmoge.
This place is good. I love it. Today is my first day here, and I will ask my parents to bring me here every day.
A play park, a fun sport for children in the cities world over. For the children of Mogadishu, though, a play park is a dream come true. For 2 decades, this city was a war zone where playing outside could easily end in tragedy. Now they have a place of their own, designed for them, where they can do what kids do. And for their parents, it's a chance to relax, knowing their offspring are safely occupied.
This place has become the talk of town. Everyone is talking about this recreation park. We are indeed happy that Mogadishu is offering services similar to what other big cities offer.
Play here, though, isn't free. This is a commercial venture, and the owner charges $2 an hour. For these families, though, it's money well spent. For a long time, the children of this city grew up amid conflict and gunfire. But therefore, such a recreation place like this for the kids, even though commercial, is yet another indicator that this city is coming back to normalcy after years of conflict. Mohamed Hirmogi, CCTV, Mogadishu.
Well, let's take another break here on Africa Live straight ahead.